2, 1. Good evening, Toastmasters. My name is John Rodkey. I'm your District 7 Club Growth Director for this 2016-2017 year. And tonight we're talking about the keys to membership success. First thing I'd like you to do is get out a pen and a paper so you can write down some questions that you're going to answer and take some notes. Along with this, during this presentation, we're going to have a certain structure to it, if you see on your screen. We're going to go through these topics. Near the end, we're going to have time for discussion and wrap-up. That is not going to be recorded. We're going to stop at the actionable takeaways, have that as a conclusion for the webinar. We're going to go through the discussion and wrap-up as a group and see if we can come across some good things to help solve the problems within your clubs to help boost membership and retention. After we get done with that, I'll do a wrap-up video later that we'll put out and add to the end of this training, and that way we can work through the high points and figure out other actionable ways for you to help the other members of our district. First thing we're going to cover is your why. Why are you in Toastmasters? I would like you to think back to your first meeting. What brought you in to Toastmasters? What was it that you wanted to improve when you first walked in the door? Take a second and write that down on the paper in front of you. Now, once you have that down, I want you to think about what is it that you have learned and what have you done to work towards that why? How have you improved because of this why? And how has Toastmasters helped you do it? Along with that, there's another question. It is the what kept you active and engaged in Toastmasters. If you have been here a month, or if you have been in Toastmasters for 40 years, what is it that has kept you active, kept you engaged, kept you fired up about this awesome organization? What have you done to get excited? What have you done to be invigorated? What have you done to learn? How have you gotten out of your comfort zone and into your growth zone? Tonight we're going to talk about some of the methods that many clubs use to keep people engaged, to engage new members and keep existing members alive and active. The most important part of that is making sure that the members themselves get the most benefit, get the largest amount of benefit as possible. So I'd like you to think about what keeps you engaged, what brings you back week after week to Toastmasters, because you're excited to be there, you're excited to grow, you're excited to see the change that happens within yourself and within your club. These amazing opportunities we have to listen to amazing speeches, words of wisdom, nuggets of information that you never would have thought of on your own, being shared with you weekly. This is a golden opportunity, and I believe most Toastmasters know about it. And the reason why we are so excited about the organization is because of seeing this change. Now, within your own life, I want you to figure out for yourself and then for your club. So, for yourself, are you growing in Toastmasters? If you think that you're getting something valuable during each and every meeting, and taking that home with you and helping that grow you in your personal development, your personal life, are you learning through this process? Are you having good, positive feedback and interactions? Are you going in and finding those nuggets and morsels of knowledge and then using them outside of Toastmasters? And then while you're in Toastmasters, are you leading? Half of the organization is learning how to communicate, and the other half is learning how to lead. Are you doing both? If you feel like you are, now it's time to evaluate your club. Is your club as a whole, are we training new members? Are we training our existing members? Are we figuring out the right methods and procedures to follow and the right systems to enable success for our club? Are we mentoring new people as they're coming in? And are we mentoring existing members If you don't have a mentorship program in place, I'd really like to ask you why. Try to figure out what are you missing by having this mentoring program. The last and the most important is, are you having fun? Are we having fun in our club meetings? Are we going in there and are we getting excited and fired up, or are we getting drained? I really hope you're getting fired and excited. With that energy, you have the ability to bring in new members and then have them stay. If somebody comes into a meeting and they don't like the atmosphere, they don't like the culture within a club, they're not going to stick around. You can bring in 100 guests to a meeting, and you can start the next meeting with 0 new members. If you don't have the right culture, the right learning environment where people feel warm, welcomed, encouraged, and engaged. These are the things that allow for clubs to thrive. If your club is not thriving right now, I'd like to have you ask the hard question of, what can you do better to make this type of environment within your own club? Ways to do that are figuring out, where is your leadership? If your leadership is not promoting this type of idea, if your leadership is not engaging your members, if your leadership is not inspiring people to do more than they thought they could possibly do, not stepping out of the comfortable boundaries and getting a little bit uncomfortable in a good way, finding ways to grow. What we're trying to do in here is we're trying to develop leaders that can go out and lead volunteers to success. When you're leading volunteers, it is 10 times harder than leading employees. There's no paycheck to help you along the way. The Toastmasters paycheck is the intrinsic motivation that comes from seeing the aha moments in others, seeing the growth in others, and seeing how they respond to this positive stimulus. If you go and you help people help themselves, and then you help the club along the way, both of them build for a better community, a better club environment, and enable people to have more fun with what they're doing. If you have people that are eager to jump into officer positions, eager to jump in as Toastmaster, eager to jump in and give speeches, that is the type of environment that builds strong clubs. That is the type of environment that builds positive, constructive feedback within your community. If that isn't happening for you, I want you to look inward at your club. Look at the center core of your club's being and see if there's some untalked about elements. A lot of the times we talk about the good, those real fluffy evaluations where you go and you say, oh, this speech was so cool, you're such an awesome speaker, I really liked this, there's nothing I would change about it. That's exactly the wrong attitude for our clubs. That's the wrong attitude for speech evaluations. What we're trying to do is trying to grow and develop. And we're developing leaders and communicators. And if you're in this environment, you need to see what parts are not fully functioning. You need to see the parts that are holding you back, and you need to address them. And what we can do together is find ways to address them. One of the biggest faults in a lot of clubs, one of the biggest stumbling blocks and hurdles, and sometimes they turn into full-on castle wall barriers, is the fact that there isn't a mentorship program. It isn't established where Toastmasters that have some experience are helping newer to the game Toastmasters, not necessarily younger or older either way, but Toastmasters that haven't been in the program as much, and mentoring them to become better. Now, mentorship is not a one-way street. It is not one person telling another person what to do, how to say, or what is perfect speech material. That is not how it works. Mentorship is a give-and-take partnership between two people. One person has been in the organization longer, and so they hopefully by now they have a background that they can share this wealth of Toastmaster knowledge with a new member. But in sharing this knowledge, they have the opportunity to teach. And when you teach someone, you have to evaluate the information you're presenting and then translate it for this person. Now, sometimes it takes up to 10 attempts or more to get somebody to understand what you're saying when you're teaching. There's an immense amount of value with this. We talk about repetition in life. If you repeat something time and time again, you become better at it. If you are a master expert at something, top of the world, you've done 10,000 hours of it, from Malcolm Gladwell's rule. But the real thing is, if you learn a skill, you learn a technique, and then you teach somebody else that skill and technique, you're going through that process in your mind. You're going through the times that you struggled, the times that you were fumbling and trying to figure out the way to do it. And you're reliving those moments. Then you're sharing those moments with the person you're teaching. And you're finding ways that they don't need to stumble as much as you did. They can learn something faster than you did because you were training them, you were teaching them. Throughout my life, I've found that I have a 1 to 10 rule. And this is the low estimation, that I can learn something 10 times faster from someone who has been through it before, who can teach it to me, than I can if I try to stumble and stagger through it myself. So imagine the exponential growth you can do if you've learned something and then you teach it to somebody else, and then that person teaches it to somebody else, and it goes on like a ripple effect. Pretty soon you're creating this tidal wave of good knowledge because you took the time to mentor someone. If you are a brand new Toastmaster and you're jumping in, asking Toastmasters those questions, asking the details, the nitty-gritty details of how to do the different roles, how to improve your vocal variety and your speech, and trying to body movement and gestures and those type of things, but also how to connect with an audience, how to talk from your heart to an audience. These questions are not asked all the time. And you're going to make that mentor think. You're going to make that mentor evaluate. You're going to make that mentor grow, because they're going to have to think about these skills that they have honed and how to relate them to others. The best people to learn from aren't necessarily experts in their field. The best people to learn from are people that have experience and are able to relay that knowledge back to others. Those allow you to learn things extremely fast. In Toastmasters, we're establishing that type of program. We establish that type of communication, that type of teaching and learning environment. Every time you're giving an evaluation, you are engaging in 3 minutes of mentorship, or a lot more than that as you're thinking about the speech as it's happening. But 3 minutes of focused attention on a potential individual, giving them that feedback. Now, to bring in new members, if you can have solid evaluations at your meeting, and you show that mentorship, you can show exactly how these new people coming in can benefit from the program. They can benefit from the organization because they are learning from the people involved, and they are seeing that the members care. Members who are evaluating from their heart, and they are giving feedback to the speaker, trying to make sure that they improve. In your club, if you do the evaluation sheets, the little ballots, the amazing thing is, in most everyday life, you never get feedback from 30 people, constructive, positive feedback, 30 individuals for giving a presentation, or in any aspect of your life. This is a valuable nugget of knowledge that happens at Toastmasters. The next step is training. Many people in the professional world, we go to trainings to try to learn how to be better at certain skills or techniques for our job. In Toastmasters, every meeting is a training session. Every meeting, we get to see somebody come up and teach us something. teach us something through a speech. Think about it just for a minute. What amazing bits of wisdom have you learned in your Toastmasters experience through presenters teaching you? I hope you had a little bit of a Rolodex flashback during that time. I had about 1,000 that just popped into mind, and just flipping right through like flipping a fast book, or flipping through pages of a fast book. Every bit of this wisdom has been a part of the Toastmasters training, and that's outside of the normal program. Inside of the program, we have club visits and training by our officers and for our officers. We're trying to train officers to become better at leading volunteers. The idea of the Toastmasters Leadership Institutes, the TLIs, is to bring a bunch of officers and potential officers, future officers, together so that you can learn the techniques to improve your club experience, improve the experience for your members, because members are what matters, and the members' experience is what keeps them in and brings them in. TLI, Toastmasters Leadership Institute, is a great opportunity that many people take advantage of, but others don't attend. Life happens. You're not able to be there. If you can take the knowledge you gain from a TLI and bring that back to your club, present that information as a speech. If you went to the Sergeant at Arms training, go in and explain what that role does. Explain the value behind knowing how to set up a room, set up a meeting, be the behind-the-scenes orchestrator to make sure that everything that is needed is in the right space at the right time. That's a valuable skill for any job. The different roles we have in Toastmasters directly correlate to the real world. If you have the opportunity to go to training and learn from this, and then you get the chance to teach it and be a mentor for your club by training them of what to do for that role, you have potential people to take on that role. You have potential people who are ready to learn. They are ready to become better leaders. That half that we've talked about earlier of being communication on one side and leadership on the other, they go hand in hand. To be a good leader, you have to be able to communicate. To be a good communicator, you have to learn how to lead. Because if you're communicating a message, you're trying to bring people into your vision. You're trying to paint a picture within their imaginations. And if you can communicate that message and then lead them towards that vision, you have an amazing ability to change this world. Training is what allows that to happen. By training at the club level, we learn so much of how to motivate people without money. We motivate people because of their interest in helping others and their interest in helping themselves become better so that they can help others outside of the organization. We're about helping, we're about training, we're about mentoring. All of these go hand in hand. Next step is the communication aspect. A lot of people, when they come in, their why is, I don't know how to communicate to people. I don't know how to share my message. I don't know how to talk to customers. I don't know how to talk to my students. Communication is such a valuable thing, and usually college students take one communication class. One class for perhaps the most vital skill that we will ever learn. If you cannot communicate a message, there's no way that the other person or the people that are trying to receive that message will understand what you're saying. You have to learn how to communicate. In our modern world, we communicate through face-to-face interaction, talking. We communicate with our bodies and our gestures and our body language. We communicate over the phone, over a computer, during webinars, and other audio type signals. We also communicate with video. In Toastmasters, you get the chance to practice these. We also communicate with emails, text. These type of reach outs, communications, they happen in Toastmasters. We are doing these type of online communication all the time to orchestrate meetings, orchestrate contests, events, behind the scenes. You are learning how to communicate with your audience. As VP of Education, you have the chance to communicate to people their goals. The goals for the club, getting people to register for different roles, getting people to sign up for contests, and then you get to communicate back to them that they need to get credit for the effort they're doing. Communication, it's vital. Think back to one day in your life where you have not communicated with anybody. I can't think of a day. I can't think of a time in my life that I didn't communicate with a single person. Now, if you're out in the woods and you're hiking alone, you may not communicate with anybody else, but I bet you're having a deep set of communication with yourself. We are the stories we tell ourselves inside our head all of the time. Think about that for a second. If you are communicating with yourself and saying that you are not worthy, that you are not able to do something, that you can't possibly do something, that's the message that you're communicating. Instead, if you communicate with yourself and say, I am worthy, I am worth this, I can do this, that's communication. In Toastmasters, we're helping people develop the self-confidence to stand up in front of a group of people and share a story, to communicate with them. This isn't just an external dialogue. This becomes an internal dialogue. You can have anybody come in with any why, and it can be answered with this program. I'm kind of speaking to the choir because you're already Toastmasters. But if you share this message to people coming in, they can immediately see the value. And if they see the value, they will return. If they think that they will be served well towards their why. If you show them that it can be internal dialogue, it can be external dialogue, it is communication with others, it is communication with their bodies, with their minds, with their emails, with their phone conversations, it is communication that helps them become better. Now, we have certain actionable things that help meetings become stronger. Printed agendas. Now, we live in Oregon, and we don't want to cut down trees. Well, some people do because of all the forestry here. But the idea of going green and not using any paper, well, it works to some extent, but in other times, like Toastmaster meetings, it's really nice to have that tangible item in front of you, that tangible agenda where people can roll through it and figure out what is the format of this meeting. When you stepped into your first Toastmaster meeting, I doubt you had the thing figured out. I doubt you walked in and went, oh, I know exactly what's going on. You probably walked in, you were a little bit bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and had the, oh my gosh, what am I getting into? All of these people seem so put together and they all know what's going on. This is new for me, this is uncomfortable, this is awkward. But if you were greeted at the door by some friendly Toastmaster, you were invited to sit down next to or in between two other inviting Toastmasters, you were handed an agenda that showed you step by step with time on there what was expected for the meeting to happen. Not that it always happens that way, because Murphy likes to strike and Toastmasters adapt. But with that, if you had that agenda sat in front of you, you immediately have an anchor to calm your nerves and to become more present in the meeting. So that instead of this freak out trying to figure out what's going on as this dialogue goes on inside your head, you can be open to listening to what these people are trying to share with you. Open to this new wide world of communication and leadership. The printed agenda is a hidden gem that many Toastmaster clubs use, others disregard. I'd encourage you to try to use the printed agenda and stick to it. This won't only help new members coming in. This will help existing members. If you have that long talker, and I gotta admit my hands up because I've been one of those, that loves to speak for 10 minutes when it's supposed to be a 5 to 7 minute speech. Having an agenda saying we need to stick to this agenda gives you a little bit of power, gives you a little bit of structure that people will respect because they want to stick to it so that when it comes their turn, where they need their time, it will be mutually respected. Having the feedback forms, those ballots, those are very valuable for people, and I spoke about it earlier. You get feedback from 10, 15, 20 people in a meeting, you can drastically improve your performance. You can drastically improve your message, and you get amazing feedback from people. If you use the sandwich method, which is kind of a standard Toastmasters thing, of this is something good, this is something that you need to work on, and this is also something good, that's one thing you can do that it can boost people up a bit. But instead of use the open-faced sandwich method, what you're doing is you give them something good, give them something that they really need to work on, and then you give them actionable takeaways, things that they can do to go back out and give the speech again and be more successful. Give them something to bite into. That's a better tasting sandwich. For your club, if you do not have enough people to run a full meeting, say you have 5 people sitting around a table, you have a timer, everybody's either an evaluator or a speaker, and you have Toastmaster and Table Topics Master, everybody's running around like crazy trying to do multiple roles, and I think you're missing out. If you have above 12 people, every role is taken. Everybody has a job, and some people don't even have a job, and they're prime candidates for table topics. But people are able to relax. They're able to be present in the moment. They're able to enjoy what's going on. Getting people to that point, if you're trying to rebuild from 5 to 12, say you have 6 people. If everybody can bring in one guest and brief them ahead of time, prep them, use your communication and leadership skills to train them a little bit, and then if they're ready to take on a role, all of a sudden you have this dynamic 12-person meeting that can be exciting and fun. Hopefully, you're able to retain those members. After that 12-person meeting, the next meeting, or a few meetings down the road, if people keep inviting people, suddenly you're at 20 people. I want you to remember back in your Toastmaster days, and I hope you've been to a meeting with at least 20 people. Most of the time, those are dynamic, vibrant meetings where you're getting laughter, you're getting sadness, you're getting joy, you're getting emotion flowing through the room. You're getting energy flowing through the room. That energy builds upon itself, and it gets magnified by having more people in the room. If you have people that are hungry for roles and challenging each other for speech slots, all of a sudden the Vice President of Education job becomes a lot easier. All of a sudden that Sergeant at Arms job becomes a lot easier. You're having people jump in and wanting to do items. To be Toastmaster becomes easier. General Evaluator becomes easier. You have the officer roles in the daily meetings, and you have the officer roles for the 6 months or a year of your club become an easier task by having more people. My grandmother and many other individuals have had this saying of many hands make light work. If you are doing everything in your club is not functioning properly. If you are the person that is the head of the club and you are a rock star and you can do everything right, are you allowing other people to learn how to do it right? Are you allowing other people to grow as Toastmasters, grow as leaders and speakers and communicators? I think that is a leadership flaw, and I'm guilty of that. I think all of us have been at some point. One of the biggest parts of being a good leader is the ability to delegate, to pass off tasks to people, give them the support they need, be a branch underneath them that they can stand on, be the tree that supports new growth. If you're there and you're supporting this person, you tell them what they need to know, you give them the right, accurate information, and then they can take that information and they can run with it. They can perform. They can lead a meeting. They can lead a speech contest. They can put on a special event. They can grow as leaders. Having this ability to be trusted. Imagine think back to the last time someone almost trusted you with something, and then they took it away. And they went, no, I'm not going to trust you with this. That pit in your stomach that happens, that bit of agony of, why won't this person trust me to do this? I'm competent, I'm capable. That erodes members. That rips them apart. That's how you lose members. Let's do the opposite. Instead, let's trust people, and then let's give them the tools they need to succeed and the support they need to succeed, and then let's hold them accountable. Let's give them the feedback they need so that they will jump in, try something, and it doesn't matter if they fail or not, as long as they're trying to do it, and you go and you support them in that. You give them that encouragement they need. You give them that feedback. And then all of a sudden, you develop somebody who knows that they can take on more than they ever thought possible, knows that they can grow into new roles and new opportunities, and they become trusted, and they trust you in return. This mutual respect, this mutual trust, it's scary. It makes you vulnerable. It allows for potential chaos to happen because you don't have everything done just perfect the way you like to do it. But with that, you get out of your own personal comfort zone, your own personal control freak zone, and you're able to open up a bit. You're able to loosen up a bit. You're able to flex and change. And in doing that, you're able to grow. The lobster is one example I heard recently. Lobsters they grow into their shell, and then they have to go down underneath the rock, and they crack open their shell, and they break loose, and they're this soft, fleshy creature. And it takes them a little bit to regrow another shell. Well, they do this continually, over and over again through their life cycle. But if they stayed in their armor, if they stayed in their comfort zone shell, they would never grow larger. They would never improve. They would never become this delicious morsel that is on our plates if you go to the Northeast, or sometimes out here on the West Coast. Learn from the lobster. Don't become a lobster, I hope. But with this, if you go and you're able to take this item where you are a leader and you're developing as a leader, you need to be vulnerable to others. You need to show them that you care, and you need to show them that you respect them. Give them things that they can do and succeed at. Give them things that they can do, and they have to be pushed to succeed. Give them the opportunity to do that. If you delegate this leadership within your group, boost up new leaders, bring them to the forefront, and allow them to grow. This will get you out of your own comfort zone. It will get them out of their comfort zone, and it will allow them to succeed. Now, a big part of that is still being reliable for them. If they come to you in a panic, answer the question, help them, support them, but also let them know that they can do that. It isn't just their project that they have to handle on their own. Instead, you're going to be the mentor. You're going to help them help themselves, and you're going to help them succeed. Other actionable takeaways. How do we bring in new members? How do we get the word out to Toastmasters? You can use radio, newspaper, TV advertisements. You can do stickers and postcards and mail-outs. All of these things are out there. You can push it on Facebook and Twitter and all of these other social media platforms. But the number one way to bring people in is to talk to them. Use your Toastmaster skills. Use your ability to share stories. And as Cleon Cox likes to put it, talk in subtle conversation. Drop Toastmasters when you're talking about a certain element in your work or in your family or in your social life. Drop Toastmasters as a little plug. Be like, hey, yeah, and I learned how to do this in Toastmasters. I learned how to do this because I've been working on becoming a better leader. This is why people trusted me to take on this project, and I succeeded. That little bit of a nugget of, yeah, there is an opportunity out there. You're baiting the hook. That's when somebody can ask you, oh, tell me more about that. And then you're able to tell them about the amazing hidden gem of Toastmasters and let it be unhidden. We don't need to hoard Toastmasters as a secret for us to keep. It does more good for us and for everybody around us by letting other people know what opportunity comes, what opportunities are offered through Toastmasters. Word of mouth. The best referrals are word of mouth. Now I want to shift gears for a minute onto your members that have walked away from Toastmasters. If you have their contact information, that little reach out of, hey, how are you doing? Not a reach out of, hey, you should come back to the meeting now. We really, really want you to come back. Instead, if you reach out and just ask them what's going on in their lives. Life comes first. Toastmasters is an experience, and it's a wonderful experience, but it isn't the number one thing in our lives. We need to work for a living to make ends meet. We have families, we have friends, we have other parts of our lives, but Toastmasters can help us in those elements. And if you have created friendships in this amazing organization, which I hope you have, if you reach out as a friend and find out what's going on in their life, what can you do to help them continue to grow inside or outside the meeting, they're more likely to come back because they will know that their friends that they made here in Toastmasters are still friends outside the world. This is a selfless act, and if you're able to do that and be selfless and talk to people, they have the opportunity to grow. They have the opportunity to have a good message about Toastmasters and good feedback. Because if they left because of a certain negative element of it, you can completely erase, or not erase it, but you can negate that element by creating a positive feedback loop, by creating a positive engagement. And those people can go out and talk more to people. They will be Toastmaster messengers for you. If we create good, solid, fun meetings where members get the opportunities to grow, get out of their comfort zone and into growth zones, if they are able to come in and answer their why, to figure out what their why is for coming into Toastmasters, and then proceed to solve that why, to improve that why, to learn how to create a bigger why. I'm going to share my why with you right now. My why for Toastmasters is coming in and seeing the change that can come over people when you treat them with the respect and the abilities that they want to have, and you speak to that person that they want to become, and you give them the tools and the support to become that person, and then you see the look of amazement as they give a speech and wow the entire audience, as they go up and they become Toastmaster and they take control of the room and they see the power that happens through that, and they see the positive energy that they can create. Those moments are my why for Toastmasters. Seeing people transform themselves through a little bit of positive encouragement into tenfold or 1,000-fold the person that they were when they came into Toastmasters. That's my why. Now, I implore you to go out and when a new member comes in, greet them, welcome them, make them feel comfortable, and then ask them their why. If you can find out this why, address how Toastmasters can help that why, and then prove it. Prove it to them. Show them what they can learn, and help them achieve their why. We can close up our recording for now. I'm going to open it up to the floor, and we can discuss for a while, and then...
Hey, I think we don't have a very large group, so I'm going to unmute everyone.
Sweet.
And David, you're totally unmuted. You others have yourself self-muted. If you want to raise your hand, I'll call on you. If you've got any kind of a comment you would like to make, a question for John, just any sort of
Yeah,
discussion.
if you got if you have any problems or anything like that that we can work out, let's do that. This is supposed to be interactive. Let's find a way to help you bring in new members and grow.
Brent has a question. Brent, go ahead and unmute yourself and speak away.
I believe I'm unmuted here. So my question is regarding when I ask people to come, they say, oh, I don't have the time. What is the real issue?
Do you want to take the chance to ask them what the real issue is?
Ooh, that's a good idea. And if it's really about the time.
Yeah, because Brent, do you have? I'm trying to remember. You're in the Salem area, correct?
Yes, I'm in the Salem area. I go to a Toastmasters group downtown. I travel in about 15 minutes away.
Well, if they have an issue with the time, you can offer them multiple other Toastmaster clubs and the times for those, and their reason right there can be diminished a bit.
True, very true. Thank you.
Sure.
And you can tell them their district director travels 1 hour one way to get to a club every week.
And they'll probably say, wow.
Good for you.
Has to do with traffic, not necessarily distance.
It has to do with Portland versus Salem.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Hey, Brent, one other idea too. If you want to ask that person, instead of just the invite, ask them for their why, or what they want to grow or work on, and then you can apply what Toastmasters can potentially do for them with it. And so that might be another option. Because if they see the value even before they come to a meeting, then it's more likely that they can fit it into their schedule. We all have busy lives, and putting out an hour or two a week, that's rough for a lot of people. But if they have a lot of stuff they want to work on, that might be a good opportunity.
Sure. Thank you.
Do you meet at lunchtime, Brent?
We do.
Well, you could invite people, tell them, well, you're welcome to bring your lunch with you. Lots of people do. Think of it as a lunch and learn. Sometimes
That's a good one, yeah.
The other thing would be, well, I can understand that lunchtime isn't very good for you. Did you know that there, and I'm making this up, I just sort of assume there must be, that we have an early morning club in Salem, or that there's an evening club? It's thus and such. And you could even offer to go with them. I mean, we want everybody to join our club, but as a district, we're happy if anybody joins any club. So you
Right, and that's really what it's all about, is what meets the needs of the person, right?
That's right.
Right. About the member.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you. That answers my question very well.
Okay. Do you have any others?
That's it for me for now.
Okay. Hey, Robert, I think we had an audio pin to you. If you want to put in your pin, you're going to be able to unmute. You're kind of stuck out there in no man's land right now.
Okay, I can resend a pin to you. There we go.
Donna, do you have any questions? Or issues or ideas that you want to bat around?
Right. Yeah, she's self-muted.
You're self-muted right now, Donna.
Well, I think one of the big issues if membership, or you touched on it, John, and that is to invite somebody. Now, my home club, Marylhurst, at one point in time only had nine members. My son was the president of the club, and they brought in some coaches, and what they told them consistently was everyone bring one.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that some clubs have assigned members. Oh, they give them some kind of a cute name. Oh, I know. It's the guest master.
The guest master, okay.
The guest master, you might have, one or two guest masters a week, and that means you are responsible for bringing a guest.
Ooh.
And it doesn't matter how you get them. They're a former member, whatever, if you bring your spouse, but you're responsible for bringing a guest. And we're all supposed to recruit all the time. But this makes it, I think, can make it a little more fun to do something like that.
Oh,
That way everybody's doing their fair share.
that's awesome.
Okay, Donna, did you get you look like you're unmuted now.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Yeah.
Yay! The more I push the button on my phone, the more it just says, yeah, in my sweet time.
What's your wisdom on membership?
Oh, wisdom. I don't know that it's wisdom so much as something I would like to see my own club deal with a little bit better. We have no problem getting guests to attend, and they join. Where we're losing people is just shy of the 6-month mark. Now, we have some people move. There's a certain amount of attrition. I understand that. But I can't help but feel, I see people give their first 2 speeches, 3 speeches, and they're doing a great job. And then they start not coming as frequently. And I think maybe that's where the Stronger Mentorship Program would really serve us well. We have one in place, but we have new members coming in faster than we have people who are willing and available to be that mentor.
So they're falling through the cracks.
Yeah, I think they are.
Something that we used at the University of Oregon, because we had a bunch of brand new members. I think we had a crop of 40 within 2 weeks. And so with that, they were all brand new, so what we did is we assigned them to mentor each other. And with that, we had one experienced Toastmaster kind of mentor both. And so we kind of did a triple mentorship. So the more experienced Toastmaster was able to kind of answer the Toastmaster questions, but the speech encouragement and the listening and the, oh, I want to bounce the speech off you before I give it in the meeting, that was able to happen between the newer members. And they kind of learned the program with each other and got really excited about it. And so that was kind of cool. And one other thing like that, we had a... I'm sorry?
I said I like that, kind of like a Toastmaster buddy.
Yeah. And then with the On Patrol, we've had a couple different crops of people that showed up near about the same amount of time. And so we had like a crop of 2013ers, and there were 4 people that joined all at once within about a month. And they stuck together, and they were in this kind of friendly rivalry competition to see who could get their CC first, or actually who could get through their icebreaker first. And then it transferred into the first 5 speeches, then their CC and their CL. And so they've continued on, and they just were very valuable members. We're down to 1 of the 4 now, but in 4 years, that's a pretty good ratio of people staying. And so that was a positive experience.
Well, articles that I have read in the past from Toastmasters have said that mentoring is the #1 reason that people stay. I want to say there was a question from Robert, and he wanted to know, can we have a mentoring workshop? And I told him that was a great idea, and I will work on it. Find somebody to do that for us. also, I wanted to mention that one of the really great webinars that we did recently was done by Katrina, and she's with Sporty Speakers, is one of our really great success stories. And her webinar was entitled New Member Orientation. It is out there on the District 7 website. Also recently uploaded were all the different handouts that she provided to me. So all the supporting documents you need to have a great new member orientation. And they do it once a month. And one of my clubs, we've got a couple brand new members, and I think we are going to institute that. And as long as we keep bringing in members, that we'll just do one of those once a month.
And for the new member orientation, how long does that take during a meeting?
It's not during the meeting, it's outside of the meeting.
Oh, okay, cool.
That's how people learn how to use their manuals, learn how to access the club website, how to sign up for roles.
Cool. We've done a short, like 3 to 5 minute speech, kind of as the general evaluator for multiple meetings in a row or every other meeting, to give a breakdown of a certain role, like a certain meeting role. So as an evaluator, a timer, a grammarian, and really explaining in depth what the value is for it and the skills and styles that you can do with it. And that's been a valuable way for new members to get up to speed pretty quick beyond the quick introduction that happens at a meeting. Brent, you have another question, and I think you are you're unmuted by me, but you're self-muted.
There we go. So I have a comment on the last question. Experience from Toasting Excellence Club down in Salem. We had a similar situation where we would have 2-3 members join per year, and we had put so much effort into rallying them around them and bringing them into the club, but then they would get maybe a couple of speeches in, maybe even not any speeches, and just participate in a few table topics and then drop out. And we were very concerned about that, so we started assigning mentors to people, and then there was a particular mentor that was a very good mentor, and she became our mentoring chair. And then we decided, hey, why not offer mentors to everyone, including current members? And you know what? That really helped. It helped our current members want to continue, and it helped the new members get oriented one-on-one, but I really like the idea of the orientation as well, having a orientation meeting for the members as well. I really like that idea, so thank you for sharing that.
I think Mentors for Experience Toastmasters is good. I had a DTM mentor, Scott Stevenson, when I worked on my first DTM. And I also had a very experienced speaker from my home club that was also a mentor. For me, when I was working through some of the advanced manuals, I would run ideas past him, and he would just help me with that. So I think we don't talk enough about having mentors for everybody. For some reason, we think of them pretty much only for new members.
Yep, Brent, that was a great idea, great call. I think that would help a lot. Robert, do you have anything else? I saw that you're able to hear us now, and I think we're hearing you.
Okay, good. Yes, there is a new member orientation packet on the Babylon website, and it's in the public downloads. And so anybody can take it and use it and change it, do what they want with it.
Thank you.
And yeah, and it's in the public download. area. And we're the only club that meets in Portland on Sunday, so it's easy to find.
All right. Really the only one in all of Portland that meets on Sunday. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
So Robert, do you have any other questions or comments or ideas? We're just trying to bounce them around and then going to summarize these and pass them out to everybody along with this webinar.
No, I think that pretty much covers it for me. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Donna, do you have any other ideas?
No. I join these webinars oftentimes to hear other people's ideas so I can take them back and implement them in my club.
Okay. Leanna, do you have anything else to comment? Otherwise, I'll do a quick wrap-up, and I think we're at time.
Just one thing that I really learned from the webinar, the new member orientation webinar, was how critical it is that we follow up with all our visitors. And in the material that Katrina provided, she's even got email samples. That it was so wonderful to meet you last night. I'm so glad, da, da, da. Or, I'm sorry I didn't get to come up and talk with you last night. And I'm involved in a club. Please read my article coming out in Voices in a couple days. That we had really struggled. We were ready to throw in the towel, and then we made one last big effort. And that was something I made sure that I did, was write emails to everybody right away. A lot of people responded. We had people come back the next week and come back the second week or another week and bring application and checks. So I think that follow-up, sometimes it just gets left out. But it's really, really crucial to get people to come back to your club so that you really do have a chance to recruit them. Because I've watched people get up and leave at the end, and I know that nobody followed up, and you never see them again. And that's kind of, the onus is on us to make them feel welcome and follow up with them. One of the best ways to grow your membership.
That's huge. Okay, so overall, from what our little discussion here, figured out that if people say they have no time, give them the opportunity to go to a different club. Tell them, hey, there's another club that meets at lunch, so you can do a lunch and learn. There's a club that meets in the morning or an evening, and these are the locations they are. Or you can, or you can ask them their why. What is something that they want to work on that Toastmasters can potentially help with? And give them a reason to come. Rather than just being nice and saying it's there, give them an actionable item to work with. If you are trying to get people in, you can, to bring new members in, you can have a guest master, and they are responsible for bringing a guest with them. It doesn't matter how they come up with a way to bring the guest. Their role is to bring a guest with them. I think that's a great way to get people to the meeting and to have your members be thinking about recruiting. If you have new people coming in and you don't have enough mentors to go around, you can create a Toastmaster buddy and then try to get a mentor to mentor both of them kind of simultaneously. And with that Toastmaster buddy, it can be a friendly rivalry, friendly competition to see who can get through speeches faster, get through manuals faster, and become officers. If we can host a mentoring workshop for the district, then we can use that to increase our mentorship programs and improve that quality of training. That way we're bringing people on and teaching them how to be mentors and be successful with it. Some clubs do a new member orientation monthly, and it's either inside the meeting as a quick blurb or outside the meeting afterwards, so that people can learn how to use their manuals, do the different roles, and become more active in the meeting and more engaged in the program itself. Doing presentations regularly to help new members be oriented. If you have 1 or 2 new members and the rest of the club knows what's going on, oftentimes they can get lost in the fray. So if you can regularly be teaching the roles and teaching what Toastmasters is about, people can stay up to date and excited. Mentors for all members, veterans and rookies alike. If you are an experienced member, you might be slacking and you might be getting stagnant in your Toastmasters. So having a mentor to help you push to get out of your comfort zone and into your growth zone so that you can help for all levels, that's a crucial thing. Having a new member orientation access to a packet for Babylon, and it's on the Babylon site, and it's in a public download, so you can easily get a hold of it. And that's the only site or only club that meets on Sundays in Portland. Okay. And then the other thing, from last but not least, and very important, is to follow up with visitors that show up. It's essential to reach back out to them so that they have that extra touch, that extra care, and it shows that you really do want them in, because they've already made all the effort to show up to a meeting and sit through an hour, hour and a half. Give them some effort in return and let them know that they are valued. If there's if there's anything else, please chime in. If not, thank you very much, and this was a great webinar, and thank you for your time.